So I just got back today from my fishing trip and been inspecting the burnout on my place, and it's become quite evident to me that the Forest Service burned my property up here. That's all the rim of my canyon. I got 160 acres. They burned up this whole east side, okay, to burn it to meet another fire that was coming up the canyon that, of course, they started. So they burned my place to meet a fire that they started. And how can I tell? Well, look at here. You see this brush here? You see where this was cut here? They cut all the brush out of here like this. This is on the east side. Okay, they cut this brush and they stacked it over here on the west side of the mastication road. They put this mastication road in, cut the brush here, stacked it over here, and then they burned this. The prevailing southwesterly winds did the rest. They burned this whole side here to go over, burn my private property up, to meet the fire that was coming up the canyon. I'm going to pan out here. You guys can zoom in on this, but you see how they burned this whole canyon? There's still places smoldering down here. Okay. Here's a little more evidence for you too. See, they got hose here, so they didn't want it burning back in my house, obviously, since they started the fire. So here you see the house there, and look at the brush they put on the west side of the mastication line. Okay. You don't fight a fire by cutting the brush and then putting it up by the structure. They cut the brush and put it up by the structure before they started the fire that the southwesterly winds took east. And this was extremely odd to me when I came home and saw this. All this brush they cut out. There's the house with the sun going down. Right here. Here's my burn pile that accumulates over the years. You see what they did? They cut all this fuel from this side, they burned, and they stacked it on top of this fuel right here. Now, if that fire was coming up the edge of this canyon naturally, you wouldn't do that. Look at the size of that pile of wood right there. And there's my woodshed right there. This right here is a terrible fire hazard as it stands. So, okay. See here? You can see here. See where they cut. Look, they cut this brush out of here. All this brush. Look at this brush they cut. They cut the brush, dragged it up, stacked it on the other side over here, and they burned this out. They burned all of my property out here to the edge of the canyon. See,